Today is Saturday, April 15th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 44, Week 7.
Lot happening. And there's going to be, even just in the challenge, it was jam-packed with stuff. I think part of that was a side effect of them improvising, because this was originally going to be, it has all the hallmarks of what we had previously seen for double elimination challenges.
Well, and that's why they said, nobody had ever won for their entire team before. Because usually it's when you're getting rid of two people in one episode. So, But because they'd already had two medicals, that was not a possibility. There's no extras left.
So again, jam-packed, a lot happening, and also packed with emotions. And what does that mean? That means that the fans generally are going to have an emotional reaction too. So we've got, how many? Is it 20?
24, I believe.
24 super fans checking in this week, sharing their thoughts, some analysis, and some very much needed predictions as we are in the second half of the game. And I believe the battle lines are drawn now. We'll talk about that as we go through. And when we do the wrap up, there's a hint. There's a face-off, Soka versus Ratu, with the Tika potentially throwing in to decide how that's going to break, at least initially. In any case, we're going to get into all of that and more. Is there anything we need to cover before we get the ball rolling?
I don't believe so.
Let's kick it off with a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This was Pete from Boston calling here. And me and Stacy, there goes your USB mat. And I forget if you said last week if you changed it. I knew it when they showed that secret scene a couple days before the episode. There you go, Matt. But I didn't see him going out this way, to be honest. So let me let out a great big woo! And instead of saying jam, jam, bam, bam. Now that was an awesome, doozy-woozy, phenomenal episode. Even though you're going to get complaints about them dividing half and half. One group got immunity, the other 5 didn't. Well, really it was 4 because Brandon had immunity. And then to boot, the team that won not only got a reward and was on a separate island, but they found these ridiculous amount of keys. Were there thousands of keys there? And of all people, Invisible Purple Heidi finds it and had to make the decision on that vote there. They ended up deciding Matt's fate. Crazy, insane. And again, guys, Jam is dodging bullet after bullet, which Jody doesn't weasel his way to at least the finale. And even Carolyn, no one's talking about Carolyn, but this episode, of course, she was immune. But still, it was insane. And I really thought Matt and Jam would go together and get rid of maybe Lauren and hope that maybe that Heidi's vote would change that. But clearly, it didn't. It was a battle between Matt and Jam. That Matt, Albert Frankenstein, as I said in the Jabbick show because of his looks, was heading to Ponderosa. And is there going to be no Ponderosa clips again? Sad stuff, but I'm going to check it out anyway. But man, guys, well, who's on the hot seat now, guys? Are the Row 2 members on the hot seat now because they got the numbers? Was it the green team that's left and Carol and Jim Carson going to work together to get rid of Row 2? Or is Danny going to get blindsided? I was glad that Franny won on, but I wasn't, because I wanted to see Danny getting blindsided with the idol. I like him, but I think he's getting a little bit cocky, and I bet she wouldn't have saw that coming. I think Danny's on the hot seat, and the road two guys will be on the hot seat next week. For once, GM might catch a break. Looking forward to it, guys. Sorry about Matt. He was a great guy, and he was a little bit, not super smart, but he was smart, I guess, from a social point of view, and likable, which is what sort of led to his demise. Oh, well. And I'm curious to see if him and Franny are still together after all these months. I'll check that out as well as see if there are any extra clips that we didn't get to see, like how Heidi made her decision with Lauren voting for GM, if that was a group decision. I got to see that, if it was just Franny that influenced it or whoever, because Danny, I know, didn't want that. We'll see, guys. This was great, though. Take care. Woo.
Whoa, thanks, Pete. It does appear that it was Franny influencing Heidi, because we didn't get any extra videos to show otherwise, and there's other potential choices she could have made that could have caused that to break a different way. Maybe we'll chat about that as we go through. I think some people mention it too in their feedback. And Probe said there were 15 keys in that. It seemed like there were more, didn't it?
Yeah.
It did seem like there were thousands, like Pete said, but Probe said there were 15 that they had hidden. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California. This last episode was crazy. Before I get into the craziness that was the immunity challenge and the aftermath of that, I would like to talk about the merged tribe name. I don't know how real it is, but having this season's merged tribe be the Fijian alphabet of 44 is pretty cool, and I'm kind of surprised that Jam Jam was the one who was able to come up with that. There is an extra video on that. It's not technically the word for 44. It's 4-4.
Season 4-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Fijian word for 44 was very long.
Jam Jam said it would take a billboard to write that out. Okay. I knew Matt or Franny was probably in trouble this week because of their relationship, and that is why I did end up picking Matt to go. I like him as a person, but I knew his time was up once people caught on about the relationship and how neither he nor Franny seemed to be around when everyone discussed the tribe name. The result of the immunity challenge and what was at stake were huge, and it seemed like holding on to that poll would be very challenging. I'm happy to see Franny win the immunity for her side, and the resulting chaos of looking for the control the vote advantage was crazy. When watching it, knowing who had what advantage was hard to follow. I was wondering about Lauren and how that would have worked with her 2 votes if she got chosen, but that cleared itself up nicely. I'm not that surprised it came down to Jam Jam or Matt to go, and even though I'm not a big Jam Jam fan, I can say he is entertaining, and I can see why they decided to keep him over Matt, who everyone seems to like and care for. It could have been dangerous to keep him around longer. As for some predictions these next few weeks, I think Carson and Kane are actually in pretty good spots and will still be around for a while longer. I have no idea currently who may be the next to go. I can't wait to hear what everyone else thinks about this crazy twist and episode. Thanks, Jack. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in with my listener feedback. To better explain my feelings on this episode, I thought I would try to tackle the question that Brandon and Matt were discussing, and that is the person that wins Survivor the best Survivor player? And for me, I think it wasn't that long ago that my answer to that would have been a very quick and resounding yes. But now I'm not so sure. I think back to seasons like, say, season 32 in Kaorung where Michelle won, and at that time she was viewed as a bit of an underwhelming winner. But along the way we did see parts of her social game, and I remember defending her that, yeah, she won Survivor, so she's the best Survivor player. But I think now, specifically speaking to the new era of Survivor, there's just been so much uncertainty and twist and chance and basically just interference in the game that you can't definitively say anymore that the person who wins is the best Survivor player. And to me, that's kind of sad. And that's not to say that luck doesn't play a part in the game, because luck always has. But I just think there's just way too much interference from Jeff and company. And if you listen to Jeff's podcast, it is by design, because that's what they try to do. They try to inject uncertainty in the game and keep the survivors on their toes. And I think that they're only doing themselves a disservice because the casting is so good nowadays. I think they cast the right kind of people. I think a lot of them are very colorful personalities and really game players. And I think they would be a lot better off if they just let them play and just let the Survivor's game speak for itself instead of trying to drive the game with all these different kind of advantages. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on the negative too much. I did like some parts of this episode. My new USB Franny absolutely killed it, the immunity challenge. That was great to see. And I think that Matt going home actually works out better for her game. I think it gives her an actual chance at winning this game. And she's such a gamer. I think that she would have wanted to compete and win that, so I was proud to see her do that. And I think at Tribal Council, despite the control a vote debacle that was taking place, I think it did lead to some interesting moments. Like, we got to see the real raw emotion from Franny and Carolyn when Yam Yam and Matt were up on the chopping block, and I think that was a very real moment that was good TV. I was really disappointed to see Heidi do nothing with the advantage. I think that she would have been much better off trying to flush Lauren's extra vote. Take away Brandon's vote for Lauren. Lauren's going to use her extra vote probably, and it's going to become a tie, and then in the revote she wouldn't be able to vote, and she possibly would have gone home if Matt and Yam Yam could have collaborated. But I don't know, she just did nothing with it, and it was kind of disappointing. I think in this new era you have to take advantage of these advantages that come along the way. So overall, my feelings on the episode were a bit mixed, but I'm still excited to see where next episode takes us, and I look forward to hearing everyone else's feedback. You guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. I agree. There was an alternate choice that Heidi could have made, and it could have ended up with exactly what they'd initially discussed. I think there's a path where Jam Jam and Mac could have been saved. Just like you said, if they had have Brandon target Lauren, that's so beautiful.
I would think they would have been more willing to take other risks if they'd been able to talk to Matt and Jam Jam beforehand, like go after one of the other three. Mm-hmm. If they'd been able to actually talk to them and make sure they would work together or something, they might have tried a little more, but maybe they decided since they couldn't, that was the safest way to go.
I see Heidi's choice. I think she miscalculated. She thought she was going to be in control of both Lauren's votes, and that's where it really got pulled out from under her. Because that's a risk, because she drew huge fire from that. It didn't break her way, and now she's got Ratu and potentially Tika coming after her because she had Lauren cast that vote for Jam Jam. And the Three Stooges may just flip the script on Heidi and everyone associated with her.
That is true.
For someone who probably prides herself on thinking logically and trying to consider all the angles, she botched that one for sure. Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got an email from Yazz in Northern California.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is my first feedback this season. Unfortunately, I was out of town when JSFL picks were due, so I was not able to play this season. Definitely not as much fun. Going back to the first scene of the first episode with Carolyn talking to a camera person, I said to my son, "This is odd. Mm-hmm. They have never done this before. I wonder if it's foreshadowing and she's the winner." It has become the Carolyn show. Too much for my taste. Yes, she's good TV, but I really like to get to know all the players and see interactions in camp life. When they spend so much time on one person, we really lose a lot.
Amen.
The last few seasons, the winner has been a shock and not someone we really saw play a lot. So now I'm revising my initial opinion and think she will make it far, maybe even Final Four, but won't win. And they are just highlighting her for the comical value, but it's getting old. I was very sad to see Matt go, but when they played the long montage about him, I knew he was a goner. Stacy, this is the way. We watched The Mandalorian too.
Excellent. Good job.
Matt seems like such a sweet guy, and as someone who also has anxiety and is a bit of a nerd, I really connected with him. The silver lining, though, is I think Franny can really play now. I think she has a good chance of making it deep, maybe even winning now that Matt is gone. I love their showmance and hope they are able to connect and give it a shot post-show. I also really like Carson, but they have highlighted numerous mistakes and poor judgment calls of his. He isn't getting a winner's edit. Jam Jam is a joy to watch. I think he's great, so positive and full of life. I hope he stays around for a while. My 11-year-old son just joined a D&D club and is learning to play the game. So we enjoyed Kane running through the jungle looking for the keys and talking about magical creatures and items. My son has his first real game with the group next Saturday. My 13-year-old sadly only watches with us once in a while now as he's too busy lifting weights and grinding for baseball season. Well, just for fun, since I'm not playing JSFL, I will go on the record and say that the final four will be Carolyn, Franny, Danny, and Kane. Franny for the win. I really have no clue. As one of the other fans mentioned, I'd have a better chance throwing a dart at a dartboard with their pictures. Joanne and Stacy, since I found your podcast a few years ago, it has made watching the show so much more enjoyable. Thanks so much to you and all the fans who participate. I really enjoy the community. All right, thanks, Yazz, and welcome back.
Yeah, we love having you be a part of the community here. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California. Oh my God, getting my feedback in just under the wire. Once again, I was watching Tribal Council praying that my USB Jam Jam would not be voted out. Sweating it, going, oh my God, I'm going to lose my USB. Right at the merge, he's going to be first on jury. And then they voted out Matt, and it was just so heartbreaking. I was so sad. I really wish Lauren had gone. I wish there had been a way for them to figure out how to vote her off instead. I feel so bad for Franny. She's going to have to go like 15 days without her friend. I really did like the twist, and I think you guys are absolutely correct that last time it was 2 people voted off. They went into 2 teams, and then they voted off 2 people. I loved that Franny won that challenge, and she beat everybody out. She's kind of incredible, and if she can keep her head together after losing Matt, maybe she can go really far. And they can wave to each other from the jury box. I think that's about all I have. I'm in Napa taking a bike ride. Hey, I got my final grade back. I got 4 perfect 100% papers, which made my average a 99.19. So I rocked that class. And I can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. Losing Matt, so sad. So very sad. But you know what? I am so glad he figured out his idol was fake before he went out. I feel like it would have been even sadder if he tried to play a fake idol and then got voted out. Good for you, Matt. I'm glad you're on the jury. I'm glad we get to see your sweet face every week still. And I look forward to meaningful glances between you and Franny at every tribal council. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Rebecca. I like that. Meaningful glances.
Yep, but you know what? That's going to hurt her game, too.
Oh, how are you figuring it?
Well,
in what ways?
If you were competing for $1 million, would you want to keep someone close and take to the final 3 with you that is getting at least 1 vote in the jury?
That depends on
without a doubt
how many other votes I thought they were getting. 1 vote I wouldn't worry about.
Yeah, but still, it's something to think about. That's 1 vote you won't get, and if you take somebody else, you might get their vote.
Absolutely a factor. And like they were all saying, very social, very well liked. He could be an influencer in that jury.
On the other hand, he could also maybe influence the jury and help her get, if she gets to final 3. So it could be good, it could not. You just don't know which way it's going to go.
You just repeated what I said in a different way.
Kind of. I made it more clear.
Okay.
You were too vague.
You're like ChatGPT. You're just going to rephrase it, huh? Okay. Cleaning it up.
When it's necessary, yes.
Got my own little generative AI right by my side. Thanks
Aren't
again.
you lucky?
Thanks again, Rebecca. Next up, we got an email from Michelle in Virginia. Hello again. Thanks for answering my JSFL question last week. When you answered it, it felt obvious, but whenever I sat down to put in my picks, I couldn't get past it. Of course, you'd go by the rules of Survivor, but what if you didn't? Okay. It almost feels like you hadn't completely let go of that, Michelle. Anyway, you cleared it up multiple times, and I appreciate it. As for this week, I got it in my head that the clip with Matt was a red herring. He was my USB, and I didn't switch either, Stacy. Yes, we can commiserate. Because you never know, but there he goes. I can't say I liked him. He was too focused on Franny, too smitten. I think that's a fair assessment. That seemed to be his whole story. Yeah, that's all they gave us really from him until this end part. He got a little swan song. As someone with social anxiety too, I would have appreciated a bit more information about his life outside Survivor. It was nice to see Heidi featured a bit more because of the advantage I think she chose wisely, having Lauren vote for Jam Jam. That made it look like she was trying to save Matt. I thought Matt told people that Danny has an idol, but maybe he didn't. But he did. I like Danny, but he's flying a bit too low under the radar and has a chance to win if they're not careful. Next time on Survivor, is Carson having problems? That horrible net thing makes another appearance. I hate that obstacle, and I can feel for Carolyn panicking in it. Can Franny rally? It's a crapshoot, as I always tell myself when I'm waffling over my picks. Thanks again. Thank you, Michelle. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Tim.
Hail and well met, Survivor fans. Dungeon Master Tim here with a D&D recap of Season 44, Week 7. The challenge required successful dexterity checks to balance, strength checks to hold the pole, and constitution checks to focus. Carolyn failed her first con save, quickly followed by Lauren. Moving down the beam, we see Brandon excel again at challenges. But Kane can't give himself a bardic inspiration, so he fails. We do hear him give one out to Fran and Dan just after he loses. Unfortunately, you can only inspire one person at a time, and Franny was first, so Danny fails his con save. Now it's Barbarian Franny versus Purple, but she's got these skills in droves. Brandon is able to save himself a few times until he's all out of tricks, and my USB Franny is victorious. The reward is peanut butter jelly time, but along with that comes the conclusion that it's NPC Matt or Jam Jam the Bard going home tonight, and there's nothing anyone can do about it now, unless... a classic D&D moment. You're in a room with a locked box. All around you are keys hanging everywhere. What do you want to do? Well, people start rolling investigation checks and dashing to the cage, trying again, a perception check to notice that 3 players have also failed their checks, survival checks to run into the trees and find another key, dash action back. Boy, this was a delight to watch. And then Heidi finds it. She's been featured less than I like, and I have no clue who she is as a player or a D&D character. I do see some high intelligence in her strategy, though everyone else wants to tell her what to do. She likes the power, but she wants to use it to gain friends, not enemies. Perhaps a warlock? Perhaps a sorcerer? I don't know. Matt doesn't have his bag with him. Maybe he can use the message cantrip to get in touch with Franny. But, oh wait, he's just an NPC, so no spells for Matt. He reminds me of some of the silly townsfolk that populate the D&D world when I DM, and some of my friends do the same thing. He brought his emotional support papaya to tribal council and everything, which I'm totally going to put into a game. Matt fought as best he could, but Jam Jam is far better at charming people, even though he's an oversharer. This new advantage that Heidi found is odd. Heidi's been close with Lauren, I think. We've seen them hanging together, and both of them get that same purple edit. So she maybe took the easy option and didn't want to upset anyone else except for her friend. Ultimately, it was ineffective. Well, my only hope is that Franny can really start to fight. Now she's got something to fuel her rage. I've been playing awfully in JSFL and haven't gotten a vote-off point, and that's been fueling my rage. Until next time, all.
Thanks, DM Tim. That was great. I love the breakdown again. Next up, we got an email from Barry in Mississippi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. It's been a bit since I provided feedback, but I was intrigued by the control a vote advantage. If it was allowed, I think the way to play the control the vote advantage is to make the player vote for themselves. A total boss move. Jam Jam, you are voting for Jam Jam. This puts a vote on the target, Jam Jam, and removes one from the other person under vote consideration, Matt. This could change the vote dynamic. I wonder if Heidi considered this. Thanks for all you do. It makes Survivor much more fun. All right. Thanks, Barry.
Yeah.
What do you think, babe?
You can't vote for yourself in Survivor. Just as a general rule, you can't vote for yourself.
Yep. So we don't know if it would be allowed in this one instance.
Right.
If it didn't say it, Jeff says do it. Don't ask.
Or try. Yes.
Yeah.
Try it. Absolutely try it if you think there's a path there. There's another path there, like someone else was mentioning. Well, I think there's more references as we go, and then we'll map it all out at the end if it doesn't become clear along the way. Thanks, Barry. I like how you're thinking,
Of course,
though.
if it
Innovative.
upset Jeff, he could say, no, you can't do that, and you just lost it. It's done. Over.
I guess that...
I don't think he would, but he could.
I don't know that he has... No, I don't know that he's got that much control. There is a standards and practices person there because it is considered a game show, and they have to follow those rules. So I don't know that you... He could find some creative way, I guess, of punishing someone, but I don't think they would let him get away with it there.
Okay.
He said they actually have... That person's there going through the challenge, all the challenges, and making sure... They're on site and making sure that
fair.
That everyone's got an equal chance.
Right.
That there's nothing that's too heavy one way or another. Fair's so tough in Survivor because Survivor's not fair.
Not meant to be fair.
Right. Thanks, Barry. Next up, we got a call from Chris.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy. Hey, Survivor fans. This was a great episode. It was full of good camera work. The sunrise on the water was beautiful.
Yeah.
And the play was good. I'm glad that now I can acknowledge what a bright bulb Jamie appears to be. Remember at the beginning of the season when she dove in to kind of race the boat to shore? And now she's all smiles. I hope she does well. There's this tree where Carson poses at his confessionals, and his right arm is going up this tree branch. And the branch has white stripes on it, and it looks like an eagle's wing. And I'm thinking, he's probably going to fly too close to the sun. Like maybe he's going to try and talk to Jeff at a tribal council or something. I think doing one challenge is good overall. We get to see more of what we like. And they don't have to go extreme on the reward. We don't need the Applebee's Cafe or the Survivor Bar. We can get by with just peanut butter and jelly. I hope nobody's allergic to peanut butter, because that's how we do it on Survivor. I guess they put it on the application to mark if you're allergic to peanut butter or not. Apply today. Seeing Franny's emotional response to not being able to help Matt was hauntingly beautiful. We've been wondering how they would handle the horror, and I can't wait to get to that. There was a great scene with Brandon, Jamie, and Matt in the woods. It looked like a laundry commercial because their clothes were so bright. We've seen Carolyn's freckles, and we've seen her at Tribal with makeup. So I'm guessing they have wardrobe too. Why not? I wish there were a Survivor ride at a theme park somewhere. That would be great. I don't know what they would do, but I'd just like to wait in the empty queue and just watch the video of Jeff explain everything over and over and over again. Somebody needs to. The scene of them putting together their torches heading for tribal council was so somber. Someone was talking over the top of it, and there was this whoosh. And the music, that other music, the new music, it was great. Come on, CBS. Make your episodes 90 minutes long and do long, drawn-out portions like this. It fills time and it gets fans excited. These moments alone outdid every shipwreck island sailed so far. Hey, everyone. Jeff is on fire. Chris from Alabama. What would you wear to tribal council? I'd wear a blue shirt, Jeff, with lots of pockets, so I could pack my immunity idols and my fake immunity idols, and nobody would suspect anything. And then I'd show up at tribal council, and I'd look as good as you in my dreams. Wow, I think I picked Matt to go tonight. So how did they decide the teams anyway for that challenge? That huge challenge that predicted how the rest of the show would play out. Lovers, one on each side, please. Line up, please. All right, keep moving. Thank you. All you have to do is say yes to be on Survivor. But don't sing yes, because you'll get voted out like Survivor Wanda. Oh, I got voted out first, don't you know? I'm here again for the reunion show. Whoa, whoa! Wow, that was a great episode. That scary tangled yourself up in the rope net in the mud so you can't breathe challenge? Yeah, okay, why not? Hey, everyone, recreate that challenge at home. Go for it, everybody. Don't you want to be on Survivor? No, they should get rid of that thing immediately. Have a great week, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Love that energy. There was a Survivor ride at a theme park.
And you went on it.
Yeah, when it was opened.
It was Great America, right?
It was Paramount's Great America at the time.
Okay.
Now it's California's Great America. So it was Survivor the ride. It was one of those spinning rides, kind of like a tilt-a-whirl. It's on a track that where you roll up and down. It wasn't a very long track. It's just kind of back and forth, and while you're moving back and forth and over the hills, in that you're on this big disc basically, and you're facing out, sitting and holding onto the handlebars as it spins around. They call it the Tiki Twirl now, because it doesn't have the Survivor backing, and it wasn't Jeff that was introducing it. It was Jenna and Ethan that were describing it. And then you did some Survivor stomping and rhythm and yelling and all that. There was a video while you were waiting to get on the ride.
Well, and you interviewed Katie Gallagher, and was it Stephanie?
Yeah, it was Stephanie. I still remember
Stephanie
being
LaGrossa.
right beside her, looking into her eyes.
Yes, I know that was. I'm sure I wasn't there, but it was the same as when you looked into Amanda's eyes.
Amanda's, yeah.
And went completely
Did I go blank?
blank.
I don't know.
Yes, you were babbling.
With
you
Stephanie?
were like, blah, blah, blah. No, I wasn't there.
Oh,
you did that
yeah.
on your own. You probably did, but
you're going to Amanda.
I wasn't there to translate like I did. Amanda would just look at me, and I would say, he wants to know. And she would turn to you and answer you very sweetly.
But,
and you would go, blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah,
anyway.
blah.
Okay.
And
It wasn't like that at all. But
yes,
this is
it
your
was
funny version.
exactly like that.
It was just like a momentary lapse, and you jumped in and created this whole narrative.
She turned and looked at me to see what you were thinking.
Momentary
and I
lapse.
answered her.
Yes.
And then she turned back.
And I picked right back up and just killed it in the interview.
You wish you did that. She turned to me every time you babbled
So it was Katie, which she was fascinating to talk to, Stephanie, and Lex.
It was very sweet, baby.
It was you're still talking about the other one. I was talking about when I went down to Survivor the ride opening.
Well, but I didn't get to witness that. But
those are my first interviews. So, and they weren't hugely time limited. So those are still out there. They're on the website on Get SFP. If you go way back, they're still there from when that ride opened in 2006, I think. There's video. Go to YouTube.
Yeah,
and
I don't
you'll
know.
See it.
We got some notice, an email or something that said, "Hey, you want to do this tomorrow morning?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I have commitments. I have clients. I can't go." And you're like, "I'm going to do it."
I'm going.
And we didn't even know
I'll
how
remind
legitimate
you.
it was, or
I'll remind you the details
you just
later.
took off and showed up, and
It worked out.
man, it worked out.
Got some interviews. Got to ride the ride. Yep, good stuff. Okay, thanks.
Okay, anyway.
Thanks, Chris.
Aren't you glad you brought that up, Chris?
Yeah. And, Chris, to answer your other question, they drew rocks.
Yes,
There was
they did
purple
draw
rocks and orange rocks and one gray rock.
That's how they
how Carson
figured out
ended up
the
sitting out.
teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we got an email from Jade in Hawaii. Dear Joanne and Stacy, Mom and I had to watch Survivor on a Friday night again, so we didn't have time to record feedback. I'm just sending a quick note with a few brief thoughts. We're both relieved that we decided to drop Matt as our USB. Oh, way to rub it in, Jade. We also both picked him as our vote out for this week. Yay, points. Yeah, yay, you two. Christine chose Carolyn for her new USB, and I chose Carson. Although next week looks rough for him, Christine's USB, may make it further than mine. I hope we aren't seeing a preview for yet another medical removal. Yeah, let's hope not. We thought the voting twists were interesting, and it definitely made the ending exciting. I know Survivor's never fair, but I did wonder about having so many people safe. Only 4 out of the 11 could be voted out, and 6 of those 11 don't vote. Those are tough numbers. I'm reserving judgment on that part of the episode until I hear what everyone else thinks. The race for a key to unlock the birdcage was fun. I'm glad they gave the safety without power group a little bit of control, but it ultimately didn't matter. My question for you both is, what happens to Franny's game now? Her number 1 is gone. Will her game get better because she's not tied to someone else? Or will she spiral into emotional gameplay and try to get revenge on Jamie, Heidi, and Brandon? In honor of Matt, I'll leave you with this picture of a giant papaya that Christine grew in her backyard. She needs 2 hands to hold it. Thanks for everything. Thank you, Jade.
That was big. Thanks for the picture. We enjoyed it.
So what do you think about Franny? What's going to happen with her game now?
I think she's going to be angry, but I don't think she's going to. I don't think she's going to go off on anybody or anything like that. No, I think she's going to hang on, but I do think she's going to be angry.
It is interesting to consider. Yeah, I have no clue what she means by marooned. Marooned would make you think somehow she gets sent off for an exile or something
by
like that.
Yeah,
but I don't see that happening. So I think she means
that's
emotionally trust, from a perspective of trust.
That's the way she feels, because her person that she really trusted completely is gone.
Yes.
So she's adrift or marooned, so to speak. But we'll find out if she's actually physically marooned.
I agree with the assessments that she's better off, because there's just no room for a showmance in the season. It was hurting both of them. You know, as much as they had the benefit of trust in the other, they needed more than that. And they were working it. They both had connections. They had social game. But without the distraction, I agree she's better off in the context of the game.
Well, it was, once the numbers were solid, they would have been the next to go in their alliance. It's one of them, because they had to split them up.
Possibly,
at some point.
Because we saw Lauren was,
at least I think so,
eager to target them. She just wasn't having it, even though she's got an alliance with Brandon.
Danny was determined, so.
Yeah, at one point he wasn't as focused on that. Danny had flipped his focus onto Lauren at this stage in the game. The more interesting question to me is, how okay was Franny with letting go of Matt? Because this was the perfect opportunity. We were rewatching the episode, and Probst makes it clear a couple times that even if she had dropped the ball, that Matt would have been safe. Probst says purple, but the purple people who were still standing on that team.
All of them would be safe.
Right. But that included Matt.
But he
was
didn't
clear
say,
that
Franny, if you drop, Matt will be safe.
You've misinterpreted.
You did say that when we were watching. You said that.
I did, but only because it's only specific and important for Matt, the one who ended up getting voted out. But she could have chosen to drop that, and she would have been safe, and the vote out she would have faced, and Matt would have been safe.
And who would have respected that?
Well,
decision?
You don't know. She fought harder than everyone, and you would not know, as long as she wasn't overt about it, about why it happened. People would have had suspicions. They would have asked, but she's clearly tried way harder. And Matt said that challenge went on for almost an hour. So she was, well past everyone on her tribe.
If she had taken time to think about that during the challenge, because Jeff kept saying, do not lose your focus for a second, because once you do, it's over. So I don't think she was able to consider, what if I do this? I don't think she had the ability to do the challenge and work through that.
I think she might have, even though she's taken a risk, because she raises her risk profile, because she just beat Brandon. Straight up, one-on-one, she beat Brandon.
I don't think she had time to think about that either.
Everyone's saying Franny is a beast. And so she's raised her threat profile in individual immunity type challenges early in what's left of the game. That's a risk. The other thing is that she didn't bring his bag. There was no way for her to know, but she could have tried. Now, maybe she did try and production told her she couldn't. But Probst did ask, did anyone bring it? And it looked like she hadn't even considered bringing it.
But they said they wouldn't have let her give it to him anyway.
He couldn't have gotten it.
I asked.
Here's the thing that I've learned from listening to him on his podcast, and it's cleared up some things for me. The way he makes decisions is, will this provide a TV moment? He wants TV moments. He's not coming at it from the perspective of, these are the first principles of Survivor. It doesn't matter what it is.
This would make an exciting moment to think about. Maybe we'd let him have it.
Yes.
If she brought it.
Well, even asking made a TV moment because she didn't.
Okay.
And she looked like she hadn't even considered it. That the look on her face, and of course Matt was it's like, well, there goes that opportunity too. Now Matt admittedly goofed up on his own. He didn't have his bag. He was overconfident. He didn't think about. He thought he was in a different game at this point.
But you were kind of implying that maybe that was Franny's way of getting rid of Matt, but I don't believe that for a second.
It is a safe way for her to detach herself at this stage. We may not know.
We will have to agree to disagree.
Okay. Well, Jade got me thinking about it again, and it just seemed appropriate to dwell on it a little bit there, but I think we need to move on. I'm curious, because I think Franny is way sharp enough to have factored all those things in, even while she was standing up there doing that. Thanks again, Jade. Next up, we got a call from Boother.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy, and all you Survivor fans. This is Boother calling in. Well, I love this episode, especially the control the vote advantage. It was so much fun to see the players running through the jungle, looking for keys, yet their bellies sloshing around full of peanut butter and jelly and iced tea. Heidi won, and she gave very careful consideration of whose vote she would control and who to vote for. I was hoping she'd tell Brandon to vote Lauren out. That would have given a big clue and hope to Matt and Jam Jam to vote for Lauren as well. Then Lauren would have been forced to play her second vote to make a tie. And then they would have drawn rocks. I thought that would have been very exciting. But that didn't happen that way, and Matt was gone. Well, that showmance is no longer in poor Franny, but Franny did great on that challenge. I didn't think she was going to be able to beat 4 players from that purple team, and especially Brandon. Well, Brandon's my USB from the beginning, and I kept him. I was tempted to switch to Carolyn because she had such an ignominious start to this season, but she's looking like a star now. But Brandon's been playing a low-key game. His big mistake was at that sanctuary with Danny, overlooking Carolyn and hearing her at all. So we'll see how far he goes, but I like Brandon. I like his personality. He's got good thoughts about the game, and I don't think he's been as intimidating as the previous NFL football players on Survivor. Well, that's it for me. I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody else has to say.
Thanks, Boother.
You know, everybody was talking about how the lines have been drawn, but I'm not sure yet that they have, because I don't know which way Kane is leaning. Is he going to stick with wherever Carson goes? Is he going to stick with Brandon and the rest of that tribe? What is he going to do? And where are Carolyn, Carson, and Jam Jam going? You know, if they're trying to stick together, which they're showing us, but which group are they wanting to align with?
Yeah.
And I think that's the main key, that and what is Kane going to do? So, because they may feel very confident that Kane's with them, but...
Who's they?
Brandon, Lauren, and Jamie.
Ratu, yes.
Yes. And so, is he or not?
Great question. Yep, I agree. And I I think Boother was definitely onto something there with having Brandon vote for Lauren, forcing Lauren to use both her votes. The one extra thing, because he was thinking it might go to a tie, but I think on that revote, because when they do tie, then there's a revote first, and they only go to the rocks if the revote ties. But on the revote, I don't know if Lauren would have had her extra vote. It could have been done by then. With advantages like that, historically they've had a note on them that says that it'll extend beyond the initial vote.
If Brandon
voted for Lauren,
well, then Lauren doesn't get to vote on the revote.
Oh, because she's part of the tie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, even better. And Heidi would continue to control. It pivots on a couple of key things that Heidi's advantage would allow her to dictate what Brandon's vote would be at each stage of the voting.
However, if Brandon was told to vote for Lauren,
that's what we're saying.
Then, let me finish. Then Lauren should play her extra vote right then.
That's what he was saying, yeah. Okay.
But she doesn't. Oh, okay. But if she
that would
plays
be the
it
first
then,
round of
wouldn't
voting.
that not have, there wouldn't be a tie if she played her extra vote?
Yeah, this is confusing.
Well?
I almost need a whiteboard for this, but
yeah.
Here we go. Heidi says, okay, I'm going to have Brandon vote for Lauren.
Okay.
Now, here's
vote Lauren.
Here's the key thing that has to happen. This is a huge signal. Now, Matt and Jam Jam have to go, oh, yeah, we are going to vote together. They're telling us vote for Lauren. Now, here's 3 votes going to Lauren. Brandon, Matt, and Jam Jam have just voted for Lauren. That leaves Jamie and Lauren, who has 2 votes. Jamie and Lauren, let's say they vote for Matt. They're going to still target Matt like the plan was. So now it's tied. 3 for Matt, 3 for Lauren. Now they have to revote. The catch on the revote, and it depends, but I don't think Lauren's extra vote extends to the revote.
Well, but it doesn't matter because she can't.
All right,
revote.
even better, she can't vote. That's right. So they've got to revote.
She and Matt can't vote at that point.
Right.
So it would be just Jam Jam and
Brandon and Jamie.
Brandon would still have to vote
the way Heidi said.
But Jamie wouldn't, and though maybe,
That's it.
But you don't know what Jam Jam would do. Does he want to stay with that group?
It's in his best interest.
Does he want to take Lauren out?
Yeah.
So there's so many ifs in all the scenarios.
That's how it breaks another way. Like Boother was talking about. It doesn't even have to tie and end up in drawing rocks.
I mean, what we think are logical conclusions doesn't mean that in the middle of this heightened thing that everybody is going to do what we think they would, too. So, but that is a good scenario, which we had already run through.
Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. Thanks, Boother. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So I am trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I had Matt safe this week, so that's not awesome. I have Brandon to go, but which is not awesome either because, I mean, good for him. He won immunity. But here was my determining factor this week. The bottom 4 were safe and the top 1 to go. And I thought Brandon happened to be the top one. I thought that was a pretty good guess, but obviously wrong. So it was a good episode. I don't know. I'm kind of maybe a curmudgeon right now, but I just feel like a lot of tug on the heartstrings about Matt leaving. I mean, I was kind of bummed because he was super, super excited, and it was the worst possible outcome that he was left kind of alone with this a super smaller pool of candidates to be voted out. But, I mean, it does open up Franny's game. I'm super not into Franny either. I was looking at the final players here as we're officially starting to merge, and I just don't know that I really, really like a lot of them as players. I went ahead and went with Jamie just because I think it's kind of fun, her kind of story, and I think if she's smart, she could pull it off. I think she is smart, but if she just a couple of well-placed moves, I think she could pull it off. So it's just going to be kind of fun to coach. As everyone always says, now they're going to be the next one to go. So we'll find out. But yeah, fun episode, good recap. I'm just trying really hard to care about a lot of these people because I can see really easily a final 3 where I just whoever, it's fine. Carolyn's story is kind of slowing down. I don't know. I'm just rambling now. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and it's definitely looking forward as we ramp up into the final several weeks here. I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, these are the repercussions of featuring Carolyn so much, giving her so much screen time to make TV moments, and they got it. She delivered, so they're thrilled from their strategy and featuring of her. That in a lot of cases that means other people don't get that time, they don't get that treatment, and we just know less about who's left in the game. And of course, there's what appears to be this ongoing challenge for the editing team to figure out how to tell the story of under-the-radar players, as more and more players have gone under the radar in the 40s. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got an email from Mary in Maryland.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all of the other listeners. I enjoyed the episode as always. I puzzled all week about whether to change my USB and about my picks this week. Happily, I made a terrific choice of changing my USB from Matt to Franny. I'm still not sure about Franny winning, but at least I didn't keep Matt only to have him leave this episode.
Oh, great for you, Mary.
Bitter much. I was so proud of Franny for not only winning individual immunity, but outlasting everyone and winning it for her team. I completely disagree with what some are saying out there, that she should have dropped the ball to give Matt a chance to stay. She fought through and won. Good for her. As we've learned in the exit interviews, Matt was still there for her after the game, and they are still together.
Yep.
I thought there were too many twists this episode. I didn't like it that half the tribe was immune once again, or that so few people could vote. After the merge, I want to see all of the changing relationships, and limiting it in this way didn't allow us to see the full extent of that. I felt like that alone was enough of a twist. We didn't need the addition of Heidi's control a vote advantage. I hope we get a true merge vote this week so we can see where all the different lines are being drawn and who joins up with who.
Yes.
I was really hoping that somehow Heidi's control a vote would lead to Jamie, Lauren, or Brandon being voted out by allowing Matt and Jam to vote together. I'm sorry that didn't work out and that Matt left. The montage they showed of Matt and Franny's happy times together on the island was a nice send-off. My predictions I can see Jam struggling but surviving until the final three. Same for Carolyn. I imagine that people will realize how smart Carson is and will want to get rid of him before too long. I can't picture Danny or Brandon lasting until the end, and they have set up Jamie for a glorious blindside sometime soon. I can see Heidi being an under-the-radar player who goes far in the game. I don't know what to think about Kane and Lauren. Have a good week, everyone. All right, thanks, Mary. Up next, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to jump to the Tribal Council right away. I have to admit that was one of the most emotional Tribal Councils watching for me in a long time. My excuse is that it was a hard day for me. I had been going to physical therapy, and I had physical therapy that day, and they upped my exercises. They were really rough. So I was watching Survivor that night, feeling achy all over and really tired, but totally caught off guard by my emotions. I felt so bad for Matt and Jam. Jam's my USB, so of course I want him to be safe, but I did not want Matt to go home. And every time they gave a little twist, I kept thinking maybe they're both going to be saved. I remember Matt in the first episode, how anxious he was about everything, and watching him over the past number of weeks and listening to his final Tribal Council message about succeeding where he never thought he could. I found that very moving. And for Jam Jam, when Jeff said to him how he deflects with humor, that's exactly what I do in real life. I really identified with Jam Jam at that moment about how he uses that to protect himself. So it was a very emotional, very tense tribal council, and I kept wishing if there was some way that they could both be saved. Also, seeing Franny and Carolyn crying, and even Jamie, it was just a very moving episode for me. I thought it was really well done. Oh, and Stacey, I liked your comments about Brandon, who was saying to Matt that he believed the best always does win Survivor. Well, it's easy to say that when you've got the immunity out all around your neck. So, Brandon, be careful, because right now, Retu's got 4, and your team may be next in line to be taken down. Could Franny have saved Matt by stepping off, pretending it was accidental after she won immunity? Yes. But I don't think she thought of it at the time. And I like the way when Matt was leaving, he told her how proud he was of her and said that in his final confession. And just so everybody knows, I heard the Rob Has a Podcast exit interview with him. And yes, he and Franny are still seeing each other, and it sounds good. So that really made me feel a lot better. Anyway, I thought it was a great episode. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah, Matt's exit interviews were positive too. He was lamenting the sequence of events, his own poor choices that completely jammed him up with no options, all of that. And yet
he's so happy that he met Franny. He
and
really
she was there.
Care.
Yeah, she was there. He said that
several
of the interviewers had asked, and guessed that she was there, and indeed she was. And they have had Ethiopian and have a road trip in their future. So, thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I gotta be honest, I was not very high on this episode because this twist didn't need to happen. I mean, okay, the twist in and of itself is not that bad, but it's the fact that it happened here because we just had the earn your merge thing. So it feels like everybody just earned the merge, and then they were, JK, you're all getting split up.
Yeah.
What? What are we doing? This is so stupid because we have this warring Ratu Soka faction, and then there's Tika right in the middle. It's like, what's gonna happen? Matt finds out that Danny set him up and planted the fake idol, and he's like, this is interesting stuff, and it just loses so much steam at the challenge because they split them up again. And I know it's not the exact same as earn your merge, but still, these two things back to back is just so stupid because this should have been a normal round. It should have been. And poor Matt goes for no reason. If this twist didn't happen, I guarantee you he'd be fine. I guarantee you. Also, it shouldn't matter that he doesn't have his bag. It's the merge. You shouldn't expect, oh, well, I might go to a different camp today. What? Especially your first actual round of merge. You shouldn't be penalized for not bringing your bag with you to a challenge. What are we doing? What are we doing? I feel like the production is just throwing so many twists in there. They want these players to expect the unexpected. Guess what? That's the other show. That's the show that sucks. This is Survivor. This game is exciting. These players are interesting, right? That mixed together is a great show. So just let them play. Let the game happen naturally. You don't need to throw all this stuff in there to make it exciting because it's already exciting. I feel like I'm a broken record. I'm saying this every week, that they do something stupid like this. Let the players play. I feel like I'm one of those people, whenever I was watching like David vs. Goliath or something, that were like, oh, there's too many idols. Like, I don't care about idols. I care about this kind of thing, like splitting people up every 5 seconds. Not letting them actually have a merge vote. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So frustrating. I guess in other news, I picked a new USB because I had to. So I went with Danny, who was looking rough at the beginning of this episode, but I guess he was also saved by the twist, so I guess you'd be happy about it. But yeah, I don't know. His edit has been kind of all over the place, but he's just fun. And I like the guy, so I wanted to pick somebody that I would cheer for naturally, right? So that's what I did. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's all I got. I will see you all next time.
Thanks, Parker. Oh, I agree 100%. He should definitely be fun to cheer for. Next up, we got an email from Paul in Louisiana. Well, no audio this week, but while Taz is driving on I-85, I'm sitting here trying to collect my thoughts on what we saw. First and foremost, I was very surprised when Franny didn't throw the challenge to ensure that both she and Matt would be safe. I guess her mind is in the game, but by sacrificing Matt's safety, she probably put a new target on her back as a challenge threat. I've been critical of her gameplay because of her relationship with Matt, but with him gone, now I think she'll be able to focus better and even have a fire in her belly for some revenge. At this point in time, I wouldn't be surprised to find her in the final 3, and you know, I've always said that somehow she'd come out of her showmance unscathed and that Matt would be the one to pay the price. It's nice to see I was correct on that because I also feel that Matt had less to offer to season 44. I kind of wish that Carolyn had been in Franny's place for the immunity challenge to see if she would have sacrificed her team's safety to save Jam Jam. I'm pretty sure she would have, because as each episode plays out, I see that there's more to her than just odd faces, scattered outbursts, and grunts and squeals. That said, she's just too much for me to deal with. So, this twist with the keys and the ability to control one of the votes was interesting, but I would have had it play out differently. I'd rather have had it kept a secret and have it played without anyone knowing what had happened. In other words, Lauren would have voted normally, but her vote would be replaced by the vote that Heidi would have had to turn in before tribal council. That's interesting,
I like that.
That could have thrown a ton of suspicion into the game if things didn't work out the way things had been planned. Yeah. I was shocked when Lauren only voted once, and that sort of tells me that she knew that Matt was going regardless. As it's played out, I think that Heidi can remain friends with Franny and still have some jam on her bread as well. As for JSFL, I might have picked a different USB had I known that Matt was going to leave. He was the key reason I didn't consider Franny as my new pick. In the end, I went with someone I wanted to have fun cheering for, and after this episode, I honestly feel extremely happy with my USB pick of Heidi. I think that she's got a great head on her shoulders, and I'm more than happy with my choice. Next to go, Taz thinks that the previously marked target Danny will be next. Me, I've concocted a series of convoluted events that will never work out the way I've imagined them to play out in my mind. That's pretty much what we do every week.
Every week, yeah.
Long story short, Carolyn and Jam will side with Franny and Heidi and go after Brandon. I have no clue what Jamie will do. She's a wild card, and I also think she's kind of a disposable player. But in this new iteration of Survivor, that could easily get her to the end as a winner. Catch you later. Bye. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, good job making the time on your travels.
Yeah, definitely making the most of your time. And with Jamie, she seemed to be clearly in the Ratu camp. She was all about Ratu. That was my takeaway after the rewatch. I don't know if you probably hadn't had a chance with all the stuff you had going on, but give it a rewatch and see what you think. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi Joanne and Stacey, hope you and all the Survivor fans are well. Finally able to put this voice recording in this week as opposed to last week. What I wasn't able to do was put my picks in. Unfortunately, I completely forgot, so I'll be bottom, probably now. But what I'm really happy is my choice in my USP, and that was Jam Jam, and he's looking good, I think. The underdog story is starting to really build up, and he's getting that good camera time, so I'm enjoying that. Another person that's building their CV up really well was Danny too, Franny as well. But I'm scared for these higher threat level players again. I think we've seen this in seasons 41 to 43, this new iteration where higher threat level players that we come to enjoy more than the under the radar players seem to just exit very quickly after the merge. And I kind of had to go through this discussion with my fiance and I, about how in the previous seasons of Survivor, how we came to enjoy these higher threat level players, and we still do now. I think they're more polarizing players and more enjoyable as a whole. But she hadn't watched seasons 1 to 40, and she's watched the seasons from then on, except for this season with me. And we just had talked about how I think the game's changing a lot, and that we're not going to be able to see these higher threat level players as a result, because I think of the savviness of the new player too. I think that's a really big thing, that they are able to target these players up, but I think then there's this battle between production in trying to nail how they capture the winner, say for example. at the end, the under-the-radar player is still not being done its due service. It's a bit of a disservice to us as fans too, and I think a disservice to the player that they're not captured in the right light. We probably deserve, as viewers, to get a good edit, and we're still not getting that, and I think we're going to get another under-the-radar player once again this season. Conflicted about Matt, I think his self-awareness was... I think it's heightened amongst the rest of the players, but then he was so oblivious, not thinking that his relationship with Franny wouldn't get him into strife. But look, it is what it is. That's what happens when you build a showmance. I love the agility from production, knowing that this was going to be a 2 exit in one game cycle and pivoting it to 1, but unfortunately we got the repercussions, and it was a really emotional repercussion, not knowing that these 2 were certainly going to be targeted in the exit when it came to Tribal, in Jam Jam and Matt. And it was an inevitability, I think, irrespective of what Heidi was going to do. But then obviously what was more heightened was that what the decision was going to be socially as well. So I don't think personally that they were going to ever, I think in any iteration, be able to send a signal out to say, yes, put the votes on Lauren if we use Lauren's vote. Interesting from Lauren not to use an extra vote, which was really good. But overall, I think really good gameplay. Really excited to see what happens next week. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Shahin. Again, when you come back to what's their guiding principle, make TV moments. And this, I think this delivered, as they say, in spades. They got a multitude of TV moments that they could capitalize on. And I think that is also the guiding principle behind the editing choices that they make. So that's why you get the, like you said, featured players, because they're going for TV moments. And the low and slow, the under the radar, that's not a TV moment unless you can figure out how to craft that story, which a lot of us think they're deficient on. But that's guiding that. So you get invested in these people who get targeted because maybe they're playing in a more open, brighter way, and they flame out and get booted off. But it leaves us with that uneven, unsatisfying edit on the end when we get down to the end, and it feel like we got blindsided. Thanks, Shahin. Next up, we got a call from Noelle.
Hi, everyone. It's Noelle calling from Albuquerque. That episode was so stressful. I'm sad we lost Matt, but I'm glad it wasn't Jam Jam because I'm not ready to lose Jam Jam yet. I don't know how many episodes are left, but I hope Jam Jam will be in the majority of them. It was really sweet how Matt kept saying he was so proud of Franny, and in exit interviews he's saying they're still a couple, so that's very sweet. I love it. The control the vote advantage, I think, needs some work. It was too powerful the way it was played out, where Heidi gets to say who she wants Lauren to vote for in front of everybody before they've even voted. I think it had too much power. A better version, I think, would have been if Heidi went with Lauren to the voting booth to tell her who to vote for, because I just think it had the potential to influence the vote, like too much influence. It also wasn't an advantage. It was a liability. It didn't have any upside for Heidi. It only had downside for her. It was the way it was designed. It was impossible for her not to damage any of her relationships. She seems to have a relationship with Lauren. Every time we get a shot of them together, they're sitting next to each other, they're chatting, they seem to be together a lot. Maybe they're building something. And then she also needs to stay loyal to Soka. So everybody knew she got the advantage. So she has to tell them what it is, or they're just going to assume something and she'll be a target. Or they'll be annoyed that she didn't tell them what it was and they didn't find out until Tribal, because they'll be thinking, oh, I thought that we had more trust than that, but I guess we don't. And I just don't think I would have gone for that advantage if I was there. It was a liability. I would have been like keen, like, oh, my stomach, because I don't want an advantage that everyone knows about. That's a liability. And now she has to play it in a way that doesn't hurt her in the game. I just don't see how she had that possibility. Maybe her and Lauren can fix things up. I don't know. I wonder if this is going to start a war between Soka and Ratu. That will be fun to watch play out. Franny seemed very concerned with keeping Matt. So I wonder why she didn't step off the immunity challenge early. Like, once she had immunity, why didn't she just step off if she was worried about Matt? I really wish we had gotten more context into that, like a confessional or something. Was there somebody else she was trying to protect? Was she ready to let Matt go? Did she feel like he was a liability? Like, what happened there? I love this rumor that the episodes are going to be 90 minutes. I hope that it will provide more context for that. Starting next season, the rumor is that the episodes will be 90 minutes, so I hope they'll add more tribe dynamics and that we'll get to answers for things like this, like why didn't Franny throw the challenge if she was so worried about Matt? Was there a good reason, or was it just a mistake that she made? I don't know. I would have liked to know. I hope Carson will be okay next week. I don't remember what happens at the final 10 in the last few seasons, so hopefully it'll be a full tribe vote. I'm ready to see how things are shaking out. We're not there yet. I hate these episodes where we get no context, but hopefully things will start to clarify soon. Everyone have a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Noelle. Yeah, I'm hoping that rumor turns out to be true, too.
Well, number one, I think that Franny was more focused on the food. She had just a major reaction when they showed the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and the chips. Mm-hmm. And so you could see her determination with that.
Yeah.
And Heidi having the advantage, I don't know how much advantage that was because...
Well, that was Noelle's point. It wasn't.
I know. That's why I'm adding something to that, is that... Yes, she gets to tell who she wants a certain person to vote for, but that in itself could end up altering the vote like we had talked about, where Matt or Jam Jam or whoever the situation could go, oh, well, then we got to change our votes. Well, if they did it in private, where the other people didn't have the knowledge of what they're going to change it to, like Paul said, to me, that's way more powerful than saying it out loud in front of everyone.
Well, if it's in private, then you got no way to signal Matt and Jam Jam what they need to do. So you lose that.
Yes, you do, but to me,
I think that makes it even less effective.
It's too much out there for me.
It's potentially better for Heidi because, like Noelle's highlighting, it's a no-win for Heidi. She's picking someone and vocally saying, vote for this person. And there could be fallout from that to the point of she becomes a target for the next vote. I believe
there will be fallout from that.
Yeah, I agree with Noelle. It's not an advantage.
I mean, why would the Tika people want to go with them when they were targeting Jam Jam?
Could make that
he could say,
difficult.
oh, yo, and I'll be with you guys and blah, blah, blah. And he could, even if Carson didn't want to, or Carolyn and Jam Jam could go either way they wanted.
Right.
So it could make a difference in how the lines are drawn.
It depends.
All the way around.
Ideally, you kind of want it to depend on who do you think you can beat. Jam Jam could decide, I still want to work with the SoCal folks. I'm more focused on getting out who I believe to be the bigger threats on Ratu, or how it's going to play out that way. Ideally, you want to move forward with the people you think you can beat, or the ones that you think that can get you closer to winning from that perspective. But I agree. There's little to no upside I can perceive for Heidi unless she leverages the advantage to take control, and that gets her to the end. But she's making enemies no matter what with this advantage. Thanks, Noelle. Next up, we got an email from Lisa Rae in the United Arab Emirates.
Hello, Survivor fans. Much love to you, Joanne and Stacy. This is Lisa Rae in the UAE, snuggling into the side challenge basement. It's comfy down here. Would love some company, Stacy.
I see you there. I could be joining you very quickly.
What an interesting week this turned out to be. I'm missing the Ponderosa clips because I'd love to see Matt's out-of-the-game perspective.
Yeah.
Poor Matt, when he realized his idol was fake after Brandon's birdcage revelation, I'm thinking that will put a target on Danny's back, so Danny needs to watch out. I was so impressed by Franny and the immunity challenge. I thought her team was done for, but she hung in there and pulled off the win. Go Franny. Of course, I chose Brandon to go home. I was between Brandon and Matt as a vote off. As usual, I chose wrong and am snuggling into my place in the side challenge basement with a nice cup of tea.
That'll keep your vocal cords warm, ready to sing.
I felt sorry for Matt that he didn't have his bags when his team lost. He couldn't bluff with his fake idol, nor could he play a shot in the dark. The control the vote was an interesting twist. It seems to me that Heidi sought to protect Matt, but it backfired. I wonder what fallout there will be from that. Next time on Survivor looks interesting and concerning. I hope Carson will be okay. I look forward to seeing Carolyn struggle in the nets, but as we know from last season, that doesn't mean a loss. Danny will want a Lauren vote out, but I think she'll be okay. I think Danny should watch his back. Take that with a grain of salt, however, as my judgment has been proven faulty. On that note, I kept my original USB Kane. I don't see a strong path for a Kane win, but I guess time will tell. I really love hearing from you all each week. I listen every week and value your thoughts and insights. All right. Thanks, Lisa Rae. Nick, what?
I had one other thought. She mentioned it because Matt didn't have his bag. He couldn't leverage, but he could have leveraged his fake idol because they clearly didn't know for sure that it was fake. Even Brandon didn't seem to be. He was concerned. And that's why they were looking to split the vote.
You're talking about
discussion.
Leveraging it by saying, I'll give you my idol.
Look, I'll give it to you, Brandon. I'll give it to you, Lauren. I'll give it to you, Jamie. Pick one or tell them all. I don't know.
And I would say, but you already said it was fake. You already told me it was fake.
Yeah, but I don't know for sure. We don't know for sure.
We don't know for sure.
And so this is what I've got. You can have it when we get back. I just need to be here to give it to you.
That's right.
That was something.
I don't think it would work.
No, probably not. Probably not. Thanks, Lisa Rae. Next up, we got a call from Jody.
Hey, Survivor family. Jody in Brisbane. Been missing in action. Been suffering with JSFL. I've lost so many save points. I was getting really salty on all of the women getting voted out. I hated whatever that first bloke who couldn't dip his head under the log. He's instantly invited back. But Courtney that broke her, was it shoulder or whatever?
Wrist.
Was that One World? Anyway, that bird was injured straight up so heinously as well, and no mention of ever again. And yet this can't pull his head in bloke is some kind of hero for some reason. Anyway, we get to the merge, and the nicest guy in the world, unlucky, the unluckiest player, everything's going wrong. He finally has a vote, swap screwed to the hilt, no bag, no chance, no shot in the dark, and I thought he was actually really gracious. Matt, just what a delight. So happy to hear that Frankenship is still going. So, yeah, I kept Danny as my USB, and he has risen a bit of a jerky head up, but I don't know, still sort of fun. And I never do any good with these USBs, so it's like, let's go against the grain. Here's my 24. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. But I think at this point, I am down for Franny. Franny, Caroline, who else do I love? I love Jam Jam. I love Carson. I think the nerds have a bit of a shot here, and let's see how the rest of the season goes. I've hated the challenge strength component required before the merge, and all the talk about, we should do away with these puzzles and rah, rah, rah. You're going to have to lift heavy things. You can practice that. You're going to have to dig under, build fire. You can practice all that. Why not practice a puzzle? I mean, crikey. So, yeah, hope everyone had a wonderful Easter. Passover. I'm off to Greek Orthodox Easter tomorrow, so lovely jubbly, bit of galactaboutico, and yeah, hope you are all doing well and enjoying this season much more than me. I mean, like this last episode, let's be honest, was on the tippy top edge of my seat, trying not to fall off. What's going to happen? Whew, the emotions are there, but the logic and the story is not. All right, love yous, bye.
Thanks, Jody. I can't tell what she said. I don't know if that was like a Greek phrase or what, but I know it's not what I heard. So, oh, goodness. Next up, we got a call from Jill.
Hi, Joe and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. Jill in the Outback here. We visitors over Easter, so that kept us pretty busy. I barely had time to watch Survivor, let alone sort my feedback out. Poor Matt, he was pretty unlucky all the way through. He hardly got a good footing except for his relationship with Franny. Hey, that seems to still be going strong. I looked up a couple of his exit interviews. I do agree with Matt when he said about the game being about luck. The more that they introduce advantages and have more idols and everything, makes it more of a game than luck than skill. It makes it harder for the quote-unquote good players to get into the end final tribal. You only need to know a little bit about Survivor to know to get rid of those strategic players just before the end. Probably a bit late in mentioning this one about the players who practice puzzles beforehand. Is it really any different to those who learn how to make fire or improve their fitness before they go out onto the island? I'm saying that I do think that they should limit how often the same puzzles get played.
Yes.
There must be a pretty good warehouse in Fiji with all this stuff sitting in it waiting for their chance to come up. Next week, I'm already feeling sorry for Carolyn being trapped inside that net. That would be horrific. I would panic for sure. And poor Franny, she looks pretty sad about not having Matt there anymore, but I think that'll be better for her game. She'll be able to play her own game and concentrate a bit more on the game than having Matt fawning all over her. That's probably all I've got. Happy days, everyone. Bye.
That's good. Yeah, get Matt off of her so she can play her game. Thanks, Jill. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, 25 years ago, pro wrestling coined the term crash TV to describe a show overstuffed to the gills with out of left field twists and big moments. This week's immunity challenge was crash TV. Well, that does sound like the perfect fit, doesn't it? My other observations. Jam Jam said it feels awkward. It is. At least he didn't say it's fine. If Survivor had a later time slot, they would have called the merged tribe Vavavoom. Jam Jam refers to himself in the third person. Josh, the plush moose from Massachusetts, thinks that's pretentious. Matt, with his vote and an idol, felt comfortably confident. The Survivor gods hate that. Danny's from the Bronx. Does that mean we should give him Bronx cheers? Also known as a raspberry. Matt's game finally emerged into the sunlight and promptly burst into flames like a vampire. Chaotic Danny plots to eliminate his tribe mates. Call him Danis the Menace. Jam Jam, welcome to Survivor. 1 minute your swing vote, the next you're twisting in the wind. With its multiple layers of twists and advantages, that was the turducken of challenges. That's a perfect analogy.
You had trouble getting that out.
Couldn't have been a better analogy. What is it? The chicken inside the duck inside the turkey? Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
The turducken. What do you call leftovers from the Survivor Base Camp cafeteria? Food rewards. Yes. The dropped balls in the immunity challenge sounded like the old Alka-Seltzer ad. Plop, plop, fizzle, fizzle. Franny's choice, put Matt in danger or put Matt and Franny in danger? NFL running backs tend to go downhill after they turn 30. Is that why Brandon fumbled the ball? Matt didn't want to have to keep dragging his bag to challenges. Problem solved. I prefer an after-dinner mint to a post-meal note. Heidi's keys to success, good cardio conditioning, and pure dumb luck. Matt wanted to keep Jam Jam in the game. Wish granted. Kane thinks Survivor is a D&D campaign. Hopefully he won't need to make a saving throw. Matt and Franny are a dynamic duo. Is Matt short for Mattman? The dad jokes to get me every time. Jam Jam wants some power. I want world peace. Is Heidi really being receptive to ideas if she just winds up doing whatever she wants? Survivor is a weird game. Where else can being universally liked make you a threat? Heidi wants to use power to make friends, not enemies. Has she watched the show? Matt flew Survivor Air, and they lost his bag. Jam Jam deflects with humor. The immunity shield might work better. Matt tried to trade papaya to Jeff for safety, but Jeff was holding out for an avocado. Jam Jam is a badass. So is his beard. I was happy to hear that Matt and Franny are still together in real life. The only difference between steal a vote and control a vote is saying out loud who's receiving the vote. Brandon's NFL career is over, so he's practicing to be a majorette. Next time, Franny's marooned with nothing, Brandon's dictating the game, Carolyn's caught in a net, and Carson's puking. Is he reacting to the next ridiculous twist, or does the next food reward contain mystery meat? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all that you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thank you, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy, and hello, Survivor fans. Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week's episode. Well, last week we saw Josh finally go home. Someone who was just way too obvious about everything he was doing and really was just not that great at the game. Not nearly as well as he thought he was, as you guys pointed out. This week we had Matt go home. Now, Matt was someone who was just way too obvious about his relationship for Franny. I do think that, of course, had a big part of him going home this week. And it's a real shame because I did like Matt quite a bit. I think, overall, he's not a terrible player. I think he just got caught up too much into Franny and not thinking about the consequences for himself. But he was in a bad spot, him and Jam Jam. And I just think that in the end, it just made more sense that Jam Jam was, someone who didn't have any ties with anybody and would be much easier to work with. So the whole thing made a lot of sense in the end. And I really don't think, when you crunch numbers and hearing what everybody has to say, I don't know if there was a way really to save him. I mean, if Heidi went a different direction and made Lauren, of course, go after one of her own, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say what was the best direction there for Heidi, but I guess time will tell and see how it works out. But I had a lot of emotion going into this episode because I, Stacy, just switched to Jam Jam for my new USB. So I was panicking just as much as you were when I realized, oh my gosh, the person I just selected to win the game may go out right away. Now, I only had 5 points on the line, so it wasn't nearly as crushing as you experienced there. But still, it was a lot of emotions going around this vote. Now, as far as the new twist, it's fine, whatever. They make such a big deal about earning your way into the merge, and here we are, as we assume was the merge, but then they split them up into groups again. I don't know. It's like I said, it's not a big deal to me. This particular time around, it great for some great drama. So if they want to do it again, it's okay. I'm here. I'm just here for the ride, and I do want good television. So yeah, in the end, I just kind of looked at that Carolyn, Carson, and Jam Jam threesome, and I told myself that one of those three was going to win. Not to say that people like Franny or some other people don't have a shot, but I really decided that's who I was going to go with. Carson, I felt like was too young, and Carolyn, I feel like is someone that they just won't take serious enough. So Jam Jam was the person I went with. But with that said, he's still got a lot of work to do. As for next week, are we going to get a battle between Old Soka and Ratu? Sure seems that way. Mm-hmm. That makes me wonder which direction will Carolyn, Carson, and Jam Jam go. Exactly. Right now, I'm leaning towards Danny being the person voted out. Sorry, Joanne. And that's probably what I'm going with at the moment. All right, well, that's it for me. You guys take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
If it's good TV, I'm good with it.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be where the lines are drawn for sure. And it really pivots on what old Tika decides. They will dictate the course, I think. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. I have a lot of thoughts, so I'm just going to get right into it. I love Jam Jam's attitude. I know I said it last time, but I'll say it again. He doesn't get down. He's always, always looking to play and play hard and be positive, and I love that about him. Matt was perceptive and listening, and he realized not only that his idol was a fake, but that Danny has the real hidden immunity idol, and his secret is no longer a secret. The new individual immunity necklace is beautiful, and oh look, it's my favorite reward. PB&J and iced tea. Blah. But I'd like the potato chips, though. I like this challenge, but I don't like this ton of people have immunity twist. I mean, they just got rid of the small tribe system, and what do? They divide the merged tribe into 2 small tribes. And then, what the heck, Survivor? There are only 5 people voting, 4 people to vote for, and you go and give someone who's not even participating in tribal council the ability to control one of the votes? This is just too much. I feel like I'm watching Big Brother in the Jungle. And at Tribal Council, why did Jeff make Matt and Jam Jam, verbally write their own eulogies before the votes were even cast? I mean, I hope he made Jamie and Brandon and Lauren do the same thing. I felt like that was just stupid. Like we had Talk Show Jeff instead of Tribal Council Jeff. And are we all keeping count of the useless gimmicks that are leaving the game unplayed or with their potential unrealized? Matt left the game without playing his fake hidden immunity idol. I mean, it's still in the game. We'll see if somebody finds it and tries to use it. And I don't think Heidi's play had the result that she intended it to. And poor Matt, I mean, he was on top of the world, and then in just like a single moment, his game just unraveled and went up in flames. It really would have been interesting if Matt had brought his bag to Tribal Council and played his shot in the dark. Would he have been the first player ever in the history of Survivor to be voted out, having never actually cast a vote at Tribal Council himself? Would that have been a thing? I mean, he spent the first half of the game having no vote. I mean, this is all useless thinking because it didn't actually happen. So moving on. Let's go back to this completely useless control a vote advantage. The significant thing that happened with it was basically Heidi telling the Ratu group the name of someone that the SoCal Alliance does not want to align themselves with. Mm-hmm. They had obviously already decided to vote for Matt, and now they have curried favor with Jam Jam by voting with him and allowing him to vote with them. And so I think Ratu now has a new loyal alliance member in Jam Jam. And that control a vote just spectacularly backfired on Heidi and her group. I think that part of that advantage should have been that Heidi was able to tell Lauren who to vote for in private so that there was no possible manipulation of the advantage by the other voters. Or why not just let Heidi go up and vote in place of Lauren? Why does she have to tell Lauren to vote in a certain way? The only way I really think Heidi could have really swung the vote in their favor was to tell Lauren to vote for Brandon, and then just pray that Matt and Jam Jam saw that as a communication for them to vote for Brandon, and then Brandon's gone. I don't know. I didn't like it. It was just another advantage fizzle in my opinion. Anyway, that's it for me. Can't wait to hear everyone else's opinions. Till next week. Bye.
Thanks,
so
Jen.
In this case, Brandon had immunity, so nobody could vote for him.
Right. Yep. It's easy to lose track of that with everything that was packed into this.
We were doing that and say, oh, no, they can't do that because of this, and they can't do that because... Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot. There's just... Even when Jeff was saying, oh, and if you do this, you get this. Oh, yeah, and if you do this, you get this. And it just kept going on, and I'm like trying to take notes, and it's like, I didn't even get all that.
And by the time it was over, we had temporarily lost track of the fact that Brandon had immunity.
Yeah. Well, and I had him going home, and I was like, oh, no, there's it. And then I went, wait a minute. He has immunity
He's
anyway,
safe.
so
Yeah.
what do I care? You know,
Yeah.
I don't get a point regardless, so.
So I think, yes, that I agree with everyone. It was definitely charged with emotion. There was a lot going on. We know Survivor's not fair. Sometimes it breaks really awful, and that's why, because there's so much luck involved, that's why there's some truth in what Matt was saying. Maybe the best possible player doesn't always win. And I bet you could convince Brandon to say that same thing, because you can get a bad call in an NFL game, and all of a sudden your team doesn't get to score those points.
Yeah.
And you might have been the better team in every facet of the game, but your score didn't count. You didn't win. Did the best team win when something didn't break your way? Some bad luck? You probably could convince him otherwise, but like several people said, he's not thinking clearly when he's got the immunity necklace around his neck answering a question like that when they're sitting there. And I think that was really meant to more highlight Matt's inability to connect. He was trying. Matt was trying different things. He even asked Brandon he asked Brandon and Jamie at the well if they were open to considering voting out Lauren.
They said no.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And Matt seemed to be
Good
thwarted.
on him, he asked.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you really want to take that chance. You want to come at it a different way.
What other option did he have?
You don't have to
Nothing.
offer somebody's name.
Well, that's the only one of the three of them that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Wasn't present, so.
Well, no, Jam Jam wasn't there either. He was trying to fill out which way they were thinking.
He's not part of their group.
Anyway, yeah, I think they were highlighting a little bit more about Matt was trying. He was looking for ways to get on on the same page, to have some common ground, to at least make that connection in the course of the conversations, and they weren't happening. So if it is these battle lines, how do you think it's going to play out? Old Soka versus Old Ratu. How did the numbers go?
Well, I can't help but think that the Tika 3 are going to want to go with... I originally thought they would go with Soka, but why would they? Because Carson is close to Kane, supposedly. And the only reason I could see that, and of course what I was saying was Jam Jammin' has no reason to go with them.
With Soka?
Yes. However...
Just depends on who he views as the bigger threat.
So I think they would go with more numbers over there, but they might choose to go, wait a minute, if we go with Ratu, there's 4 of them, 3 of us. Why would we do that?
Exactly.
Why? The only reason for them to go with Soka is the numbers.
They would go even 3-3.
Even 3-3.
Yeah. And so list them off real quick.
Danny, Franny, and Heidi with Carolyn, Carson, and Jam Jam. That's 6. That's all they need to rule. And then they can pick off Ratu versus if they go with Brandon, Jamie, Kane, Lauren, and the Tika 3. Yes, they got numbers, but when those numbers dwindle down, it's 4 Ratu to 3 Tika.
Yes.
So that's the only reason I could see that they would, Jam Jam would agree to go with them, since they clearly said vote him off.
You need 6.
But I think Carson could convince him if he thinks that's the best numbers. And he could even maybe take Kane along for a while, at least. And if he took Kane along, then when it got down to, say they picked off Jamie, Lauren, and Brandon, then they would have the 4 if they chose to turn then against
Old Soka.
Yeah, Old Soka. So then it would be 4-3 while they still had Kane.
Yeah, Kane is the one who had voted against Brandon, and Kane is working to keep all these doors open. That's like that extra video where he was talking about doing that. He was finding it extremely difficult to keep track of everyone and how they were thinking, but he's trying to stay in touch so that he has options like that. So I don't know that Kane's, I'm pretty sure he's not a solid original Ratu, but he's more of a up in the air free agent.
He's a vote for hire.
Yeah, could be, basically.
Well, whatever. I think it's just simply, whatever keeps me in the game the longest.
How do you think they're going to do with this? Do you remember the challenge where
I do not.
You can get stuck in the net? It was episode 7 last season. So they play in pairs.
Yes,
and there are three stages.
They had to throw something. It was real simple, wasn't it?
No throwing.
I thought
you had to get through the twisted net.
Yes.
And then you had to dig up some boards.
Yes.
And that's stage 1. And so 2 teams didn't make it through there.
But then you did have to go through a hoop or a loop or something, because remember, Noelle came back and won it.
No, you're mixing challenges together. Noelle got stuck in the twisted net that you see Carolyn screaming from and did not emerge. Noelle remember her leg had come off when she was stuck in there?
Oh, yeah, she was going over a balance. You're right.
That was the balance beam's a different challenge.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of, though, that she ran up and finished anyway. It was over the balance,
eventually,
not the net.
And it was, like you said, it was a throwing challenge.
You're right, wrong challenge. So what do they do after the
You didn't hear anything.
The net?
Okay.
That's because I thought you were wrong.
Yeah. So the certain amount of teams, I don't know how they're going to do it this time, but a certain amount of teams of these pairs that they randomly choose for pairs, a certain number of them will proceed to the second stage. And the second stage, they use those boards that they dug up in the first stage to work their way over to make steps. And, where they got the ropes out and you lay the board down on them to go over like that. where they've only got like 3 boards to make it work.
Yep.
So that's the next stage.
Okay.
And then the final stage, this was the one where Gabler, where you have to hold the weight.
Oh, that he won?
Yes. Where he was saying, this is dedicated to Idaho. This is dedicated to my dog. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the rope's holding up a bucket that's suspended over.
But only 3 people got to that.
4.
Or 4?
2 of the teams.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 teams of 2 made it to the end.
Okay.
And so there were 4 people competing at the end.
Okay. Well, there's 10 people, so it'll be 5 groups of 2.
Yeah, so probably what they'll do is they'll drop, 1 in the first stage and then another one in the next stage, or maybe 2 in the second stage.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you think Carolyn's for sure stuck? Because some of the women with long hair, it made it extremely hard.
Yeah, they did say that.
Even Owen with his longer hair was getting stuck in
Though
that
she
net.
usually pins hers back, but still,
Mm-hmm.
even if she's got it in ponytail, it could still get caught. She looked I don't think she gets out of that.
Yeah,
on
it
her
didn't
own.
seem like it, did it?
She seemed pretty tight in that. Now, Carolyn's screaming and doing all that, that's just Carolyn. She'd do that no matter what.
Yes, and pretty
Just
much
because
everyone.
that's how she expresses herself.
I bet she would have done it in this last challenge if she had lasted maybe more than 19 seconds.
Maybe.
Yeah. But she could be for
yeah,
sure.
you counted them, 19 seconds.
Whoever's her teammate, they're probably out of it in that first stage.
Yep.
And that was the only challenge in that episode, so that's immunity and reward.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to it. Like everyone else said, it does appear we've got the battle lines. I think they're hinting at that in the description of the episode. And, that's what it's really about. So we're going to see who's old Tika going to throw in with, or how are these alliances going to get formed? How are you going to get 6 to make this happen if it's that classic
I'm kind of
6
thinking
versus
it
4?
could go that way more so than most of the New Age seasons where they are flip-flopping. You don't know where they're going. They're just going this vote. They're not really planning ahead like this group, that group, we're in an alliance, we're sticking with this, we're being loyal. It's like, yeah, we'll vote together for this vote.
Is Franny going to be able to get it together so that she can get focused and make it through this next stage?
I think
or is she
she
going to
will.
flame out?
I don't think she'll flame out.
I think she's going to rally. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out for her from here.
All right. Well, we agree.
Big thanks to everybody who took time to share your thoughts. We had great turnout on the listener feedback show, and we enjoyed hearing your predictions. We appreciate hearing from all of you, and we know it takes time and effort, and you guys really delivered this week as usual. Good job.
If you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 8 picks for 1 person voted off and 4 people who are still safe at the end of the episode. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say before we close?
I'm excited. Looking forward to it, but I think I already said that.
All right. Well, we'll be back here on Wednesday with our next recap.
Have a good one.